Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. And the Chennai Super Kings have beaten the Royal Challengers Bangalore by 6 wickets in the first match of IPL 2024. On the 11th of both sides, starting off with the Chennai Super Kings, their 11 was similar to the one I thought they'd go with in my previous video. However, since Matisha Patel has only recently arrived to the CSK camp due to injury, Mustafizur Rahman took his place as the international seamer. I think there was a fitness concern around Shivam Dubey, therefore he was used as an impact sub, so Samir Rizvi made his debut in place of him. I was surprised they went with Tushar Deshpande ahead of Shardul Thakur. Even though Tushar Deshpande has been in very good form in domestic cricket, Shardul Thakur has been in very good form and plays for India. So I was quite surprised that they went with Deshpande ahead of Thakur, but they did what they did. Apart from that, the other players in the side were expected course. And for RCB, I knew they'd go with this 11 where I'd said Bojack should play and they should load their side with 4 overseas batsmen. I thought if they were going to start Ozari Joseph, at least Bojack should play ahead of Cameron Green. They did neither of those things, and this was quite an expected 11. Faf du Plessis won the toss and chose to bat first. There's been some debate around this decision. In my view, he should have looked to bowl first, because I usually don't say this when playing a game at this venue and a team wins the toss. However, looking at the bowling resources RCB have got and the buying lineup of CSK, would RCB have the resources to or the strength to defend the score unless it's quite a high one against a CSK side? No, they don't. And it's a case where if CSK had batted first and along a more uniform progression had got to around 180 odd, it would have been a difficult chase for RCB considering a few of their plays aren't so good against spin, especially on this type of surface. However, they would have had more chance chasing their score with their batting lineup if they'd structured the lineup correctly. Then, even though they didn't get such a bad score in the first innings, especially after recovering to that score, and the CSK batsmen chased that score down without breaking a sweat. So, because of the lack of the bowling strength when competing at this venue against a lineup like CSK, I thought du Plessis should have looked to bowl first. Ruturaj Gaikwad captained his first IPL game, and I'll get on to how I thought it went in a bit. The RCB openers walked out to bat. After having an up and down SA20, I was very happy to see Faf du Plessis go the way he went. He was scoring boundaries with ease off the seamers, and for some reason, Deepak Chahar, it's understandable for him to have been short of a gallop. However, for some reason, he was bowling short balls at 130 kph when it made no sense to do that, and du Plessis was picking him off with ease. And RCB, I think, got to 41 without loss and just over 4 overs. From a CSK point of view, the one highlight of the power play I thought was Dhoni's keeping a few of the take, especially the ball that was looking to go, seemingly going over his head, and he stuck one hand out and took it. I was very happy to see him back after a year, and especially after all the complications regarding his knee. And in this game, I thought he kept very well. It was a slightly different feeling in terms of him not being captain. He didn't seem to be in the action as much. He just seemed to be playing as a player, but it was quite a good moment to see Dhoni playing and especially keeping the way he was keeping. And the first wicket fell when Faf du Plessis was dismissed after bowling of Mustafizur Rahman. He was caught by Rachin Ravindra. And from then on, RCB collapsed, where Rajat Patidar, I wanted him to score runs, and I think he'll have a very good IPL. However, with the shot that he played to get out, he didn't move his feet and he just poked outside off, and MS Dhoni took the catch. And the next over, Glenn Maxwell, I didn't understand that, where the ball was outside off. If he had just presented the full face of the bat, he would have defended it. Instead, he opened the face, it went off the splice, and it was almost as if he was giving catching practice to the keeper. He was dismissed for a golden duck. And the start that Faf du Plessis had given. Now, I thought at this venue, if you get around at 50 odd on the power play, you don't lose too many wickets on a slow surface, you've won that phase. RCB were close to doing that with the way du Plessis went, and with 3 wickets falling late on, that advantage had been dissipated, and so CSK were certainly on top at that stage. And now on the partnership that followed. First off on Virat Kohli. This is how I think his season breakup in terms of runs and contributions will be. So you've got 7 home games, 7 away. Out of the 7 away, you've got 1 Chennai, a slow venue, Lucknow, slow venue, Kolkata, slow venue. The Delhi games are being shifted to Visakhapatnam, slow venue, Hyderabad, also slow venue. So there are 5 venues where, in my view, if the bowlers bowl right to him, you saw the CSK attack would have presented a challenge to him on the type of surface, and he couldn't get going at all. He was strike deprived during the power play. In those 5 venues, in my view, whatever he contributes will be a bonus because of the nature of those venues and the demands that are required as far as the innings progression goes. In Bengaluru, at the other venues, you've got 9 innings, and I feel he's good enough to score 5 50s out of those 9 innings, which is very good. So I think you can expect a good season from him, but it will be in certain situations, and maybe in 1 or 2 of the other 5 games he may get a decent contribution. But you've got to be realistic in terms of what is required, especially with the way they're structuring this playing lineup, and this is where my point on Cameron Green will come to things as well. In terms of how they're structuring their playing lineup, if Virat Kohli has to play that aggressive role on a slow surface in the power play, he will not do that, especially with how he's going against spin now on this type of surface, and that too when he's strike deprived with the others losing their wickets. And then they sent Patidar out at 3. In my view, that was a wrong decision on this surface. Cameron Green should have walked out at 3, and Patidar could have batted at 4 or 5 depending on when the next wicket fell. RCB missed the trick there, and when they did that, you knew Cameron Green walking out at 5 wasn't going to do too much. He scored a scratchy 18 of 22, and a shot that he got out, I mean, honestly, for some reason he tried to cut the ball that was on leg stumper cutter. It was a terrible shot. I couldn't believe he played that shot. And Virat Kohli, he scored 1 6 off Mahesh Deekshana, and then a brilliant catch from Ajinkya Rahane, a bit of teamwork between him and Rachin Ravindra to dismiss him. However, I knew he wouldn't do too much in this game because when the wickets are falling, and I thought that considering the others, 1, you didn't know how they'd go, 2, not so great against spin. Some of them, I thought if RCB were going to get bundled up for a low score, Kohli had to make sure he was there so they could salvage something. However, I knew after a point in time when the ball got old, I didn't think he was going to be able to do much considering the blueprint that's required and his blueprint as well as far as his T20 game goes. So I wasn't surprised that Kohli and Green, they played the innings that they did, and it fared that way. 78 for 5, and you thought, aside with already light bowling resources, and if they have to use an impact of a 6th wicket fall soon, and you'd understand them doing that, but it would weaken their bowling resources even more. And luckily, 2 players have been criticised from the previous season. Ruturaj and Dinesh Karthik strung together a very good partnership to take RCB from 78 for 5 to 173 for 6. Now, they were 102 for 5 in 14 overs, I think, and I thought, what were they going to get in the last 6 overs? But not to call them out, I did have in mind that there'd be 2 overs of Tushar Deshpande left. Considering the way he likes to bowl, he bowls in the low 140s, and I thought on a slow surface it would aid what Anuj Raut and Dinesh Karthik were looking to do. You saw the 3rd over the border for 25 runs, and that was what set RCB on their way to achieve at least 15 runs more than what they would have thought they could get from beforehand. I was very happy to see those 2 play well because they had been criticised in the previous season. Anuj Rawat, he scored an unbeaten 29 against the Rajasthan Royals in the game where they bowled them off at 59, hadn't done much else. Dinesh Karthik didn't have a great season the previous year, and especially in the top order field, I was happy to see both those 2 making an impact in the first game of the season as well. And from CSK point of view, I thought they could have bowled Rachin Ravindra at the time from when the 5th wicket fell. It would have alleviated some of the pressure at the back end where some of the overs could have been manageable. They didn't use a 6th bowler. I'm not surprised because even though Ruturaj is the captain, looking at the scorecard or the bowling card, I thought when Dhoni was captain, he rarely used a 6th bowler. Someone like a Moeen Ali also didn't bowl too much, and he's quite an experienced bowler. So I'm not surprised they didn't use Rachin Ravindra. But it's a case where, in this case, I think them using him during that phase when the partnership was developing could have alleviated some of the hitting at the end. But it is what it is. As well, RCB had got a decent score, but CSK as well, there was at a time when I think the ball didn't carry to Deepak Chahar and there was laughter around, so I didn't think they were too affected by what was going on. And I think even though this is a good score posted by RCB, I was confident CSK would chase this. Mustafizur Rahman getting 4 wickets for 29 in his first game for CSK. I thought there's been a notion that he really hasn't been any good for a while, and I would beg to differ. I think he's been okay. We've seen he's got a good outswinger, and we saw that in this innings as well, where he picked up a few wickets because of that. And anyone who plays for this yellow jersey, their game seems to be elevated, and I feel if he is able to get back to somewhat near his peak during the stint for CSK, I think it would be great for cricket fans to see. So, good performance from him in this innings. Deekshan, I thought he bowled better than going for 36 runs in his 4, and for the last over that he bowled in for 14 runs, that ruined his figures a bit, but I thought he went okay for the most part. Jadeja, very good as usual, 9 for 21 in his 4. Tushar Deshpande, I knew he'd go for runs on this type of surface. I wasn't surprised. Even though he went for none for 13 in his 2, which is a good return, he unfortunately, the third over ruined his figures quite a bit. Deepak Chahar, I was expecting him to be a bit rusty on his return, and it's a case where he was bowling short deliveries at 130 kph, and the death bowling question mark is still there, where apart from Mustafizur Rahman and Matisha Patirana, you've got Deepak Chahar, Tushar Deshpande, Shardul Thakur in the wings, and if Patirana plays, he's also inexperienced. We'll have to see how that goes. I didn't mention his name before, but and I've said this in the preview as well, I thought Mukesh Chaudhary would play ahead of Tushar Deshpande. Had he done so, I feel there wouldn't have been anywhere near this many runs given in the end, but I thought this was a manageable total for CSK to chase down. The CSK openers walked out to bat, and from the get-go you thought this was going to be tough for RCB to defend this score, especially with the quality of delivery, the type of delivery that was bowled, where the ball was sat up for Ruturaj to pull, and he did so quite well. And there was a small partnership between Ruturaj Gaikwad and Rachin Ravindra. Both of those two played their shots, capitalizing on the loose balls. And the impact sub, Yash Dayal, was introduced in both the second over of this innings and from the second overs of this innings. And I thought he bowled quite well for the first 2 overs that he bowled. He got the outswinger going to Ruturaj Gaikwad, and he dismissed him where the catch was taken by Cameron Green and slips. Gaikwad was looking okay. He scored 15 off 15, and Rachin Ravindra for his debut innings played a very enterprising knock of 37 off 15. He set the tone. It was a stylish innings, and I thought in terms of the guidelines, the innings progression, where it should be when batting at this venue, if you're 50 odd in 6 overs, you think you've won that particular phase. CSK was 62 for 1. They had convincingly won that phase, especially considering the bowling resources RCB have got. And I thought with the deep batting lineup of CSK, with the score they're chasing, they had convincingly won that phase. From then on, and really throughout this innings, CSK didn't break a sweat. Ajinkya Rahane, I'd said him batting at 3 on this type of surface, would it go as well? But he walked out relatively early on, 27 off 19, and especially the shot that he played off Yash Dayal over long off for 6 was fantastic. Darren Mitchell, he played 2 shots for 6 off Karan Sharma, where you saw him play straight down the ground off the bowling of Ravindra Jadeja during the World Cup semi-final. And the ball was bowled fuller by Karan Sharma, and he took his opportunity. He also scored at 22. 104 for 4, and Mitchell was dismissed. So the CSK lineup was never in doubt, and Jadeja and Dubey took CSK home to a 6-wicket victory. Now on RCB. Tactically, starting off with analysing the bowling attributes, the cricketing attributes of the personnel. Starting off with Mohammad Siraj. I said before, you've got to combine 2 things. First off, when things aren't going his way or his team's way, he looks to try a bit too hard at times and can go for runs. Secondly, when the surface doesn't outright have as much assistance for the seamers, especially when being a purely attacking bowler bowling at pace. So even in the recent test series, he didn't have such a great test series because of this type of surfaces that he played on. Combine these 2 things, is he going to be a match winner for you in this case against the CSK side and the type of surface? No, he isn't going to be. 2 overs, 23 runs, and that is RCB's threat done in terms of wicket taking then and there. Yash Dayal bowled well in his first 2 overs. Azari Joseph, as I said, he shouldn't have played. Wojak should have played at least if you wanted to play Seaman, if you were going to play Azari Joseph because you've paid 11.5 crores for him, he should have played ahead of Cameron Green. He would have been able to bowl some off spin for you, and he bowled well in the SA20. He would have enjoyed bowling on this surface. They didn't play him. He would have helped with the bat as well. Azari Joseph, apart from the second over where he was bowling to Shivam Dube, he bowled the short stuff. And I'll get onto that. I may as well just say that here as well. It was quite one-dimensional the way they bowled to Shivam Dube, where yes, in Azari's second over, he was just about getting the short stuff away. He was 7 of 13 balls. He got accustomed to things and finished off at 34 of 28. But by the end, he was playing the short stuff quite confidently. So I thought it was a very one-dimensional ploy. They didn't bowl anything else apart from bowling the short stuff. And I didn't think Azari's bowling would have suited this kind of a surface and not many surfaces across India. Karan Sharma, I thought in terms of most of the deliveries that he bowled in his first 2 overs, they didn't bowl badly. However, he gave, I think, 3 sixes and Darryl Mitchell hit 2 of them. So 1 for 24 in 2 overs. I think that ruined his figures a bit, but he didn't bowl badly for most of the deliveries. And this was ridiculous. Mayank Dagar, none for 6 and 2. I talked a lot about him in the previous videos as that one bowler apart from Mohammad Siraj that you can bank on, and especially in terms of economy rate, Mayank Dagar is a good defensive spinner. So I've seen that in the previous season. And just because there is a left-hander in Shivam Dube, they only bowled him for 2 overs, and I didn't understand that at all. Cameron Green is not going to be a threat for you on this type of surface and generally across most surfaces in India. And they bought Glenn Maxwell when they should have bought Mayank Dagar. Okay, they bought Glenn Maxwell. He only went for 7 runs and they only bought him for 1 over as well. And they're bringing back the seamers when by the end they're going for runs. And so tactically, this was quite a poor management of resources from RCB when already their attack was... They didn't have the firepower that was required when going into this game. In terms of what they should do, I'll say this again. They've got to go with 4 overseas batsmen. Wojak has to play. You cannot strengthen this bowling. If Azari Joseph looks to bowl these short balls at the Chinnaswamy Stadium, and especially towards the end, he will get a pasting. Mohammad Siraj, if you're looking for him to bowl 2 overs at the end, he will get a pasting. And Yash Dayal, I don't think they'll play him in the Chinnaswamy Stadium. If they do play him, then he will go for runs as well. So, with the way the resources are being managed, and with the way that even the players you are selecting, they aren't the right players to be selected for this type of surface, then RCB have got a lot to think about, especially as far as their bowling will go. With their batting, 5 games maybe on slow tracks, and if they capitulate like this where Anish Rad and Dinesh Karthik saved them this time, if even one of them got out, they'd have to use an impact sub and that would have weakened their bowling even more. So a few things to think about for RCB. For CSK, a very good win, an expected win. Ruturaj Gaikwad, I thought it was a good captaincy start from him in this game. He could have bought Achin Ravindra when they were 78 for 5 RCB, but apart from that, I thought he was good in the field as captain and a very good start for CSK. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, share with your friends. Remember, this is my opinion. Watch yours.